All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to season one, episode 6 of the 700 Pelham Road podcast, your one stop shop for all things Jack State Gamecocks. I'm Caleb Williams. I'm alongside our co host, Jalen Cooper. Jalen, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just finished eating dinner. Recording this, and after this, going to wind down for the night. Try and get some sleep before work tomorrow. How about you?
Man, I feel that. I had a little din earlier. Did a little homework. So we just late night recording, and we're gonna chill out, get ready for work tomorrow, and do it all over again the next day.
You know it.
Um,
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Indeed, man, that's the life. That's the life of a college graduate these days. But it was a busy week for the Cox. In all sports, not just football. We had a lot of stuff going on. Had a lot of stuff going on in college football world in general, as well. Had some entertaining games. Had some games that were supposed to be entertaining and maybe didn't turn out so entertaining. I think we all kind of know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sad day.
Uh,
Sad day.
we I think it's pretty well noted here at 700 Pelham Road. We're big Coach Prime fans. We're on the Colorado bandwagon. So it's tough to see our boys go down like that. But
I'm
man, I'll tell
sticking
you
with
what.
him though.
Yeah, no, I got to ride it out. I got to ride it out. Wherever Dion goes, I'm going to ride with him. He's one of my favorite people in sports in general. But man, Oregon looks the part of a real team this year, without a doubt.
Which is funny because the Pac-12, as we know it, is about to cease to exist. But in their last year, they seem to be the strongest conference, top to bottom.
Yeah, they took the phrase "going out on top" just a tad too seriously for my liking. But man, they're not the only. It's not just Oregon, man. It's Washington, Washington State, USC, UCLA. Um, Obviously, Colorado, Utah. Like there's it top to bottom. It's probably the best conference in college football right now. I think it was going into this week, they were the only conference in the country with 8 undefeated teams. Um, so, everyone out there is playing pretty well. Alabama kind of gave Kiffin the business again.
I hope they're starting to figure it out. It There were glimmers of hope. Obviously, the first half was rough. Second half, they looked like a Bama offense should.
Yeah.
Um, Here's to hoping that was their clicking point, and they can put together somewhat of a decent season. Because as long as Texas keeps playing well, they still have an outside shot at the playoffs. Especially if they went out and win the SEC championship, they're still in. So the
Yeah.
season is
Yeah.
not lost.
Yeah. One loss SEC champion is going to get in over likely an undefeated, Pac-12 champ. Well, I say that undefeated ACC champion.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I was about to say.
Normally, I would say Pac-12, but I can't say it this year. Oh man,
No,
but
looking at you, Florida State.
yeah, y'all are the one. You and Duke are in North Carolina. Y'all are it. Um, Ohio State Notre Dame was a snooze fest until until the last 2 plays from scrimmage, when Notre Dame lost all brain function and failed to have 11 players on the field.
I can understand it for one play, but how do you, as a football staff that gets paid to do this, go 2 plays in a row with 10 guys on the field? The 2 plays, 2 most important plays of the game, arguably, and you do it back to back with only 10 players on the field. And then he sits there and says, "Well, I didn't want to take a penalty." I just don't get it.
It's half the it's 6 inches that the ball will move if you take a penalty versus losing the game. Um,
Exactly. The
I mean,
the ball
really.
barely moves.
I'll tell you what, Lou Holtz didn't have much to say after that game. Ohio State, look, they didn't look great, but they dominated Notre Dame defensively.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and Notre
honestly,
Dame, look,
What
Oh,
were you
that's my
saying?
bad. I was going to say Notre Dame's a good offensive team. I mean, they've got a good quarterback in Sam Hartman. Um, I guess Will Greer 2.0. But um,
I'm
you got to
just
give credit.
I'm just glad the Notre Dame overhype ends now. Because yeah, the
Yeah,
offense looked good, but if you have a performance like that against a struggling Ohio State team, ain't no telling what would happen. Come playoff time, it always happens where Notre Dame looks really great, and then they get to a high level bowl game or the playoffs, and then just get smacked, and everybody's like, "Well, why did we give them credit?" I'm glad it finally happened early enough to where we can just kind of write them off and go about our day, and college football is back to normal.
yeah. It saves us all a lot of time when we don't have to put them in the playoff conversation after week 3. Um, Instead of getting to the end of the season, we're like, well, they're 12-0, but they didn't play anyone. Maybe we should give them another shot. No, we don't have to give them a shot this year.
Nah, because then they'll mess around and get to the playoff, and it's like, well, we're down two, but I don't want to kick a field goal. I want a touchdown.
Well, we're up 1 with 130 left. I think I'm going to throw 4 verts 5 times in a row and see what happens.
God.
Um,
Obviously, I don't get paid to be a college football coach, but I feel like I could have managed the end of that game substantially better than Marcus Freeman.
easily, easily. A brain dead squirrel probably could have gotten 11 players on the field. I don't know
Oh,
where I came up with that visual. That just kind of came out of nowhere. Um,
it
Brain
just,
dead
I
and
don't know.
moonshot.
I don't know if that one will ever make sense to me, but can't
No,
go back and replay the game.
no, you can't. Man, good times. We found out a lot about my Auburn Tigers, and it was not a week to it was not a it was not great to be an Auburn Tiger. Let's just say that.
Definitely not the week they wanted to have going into the UGA game. You wanted to have something to build off of, but didn't really look like much.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, if the pattern continues, we're gonna beat Georgia and then lose to LSU. So, because at our 2 home games, we've averaged like 600 yards and 50 points. In our 2 road games, I think we've averaged like 150 yards and 14 points.
There's some voodoo in that stadium. There's something going on. It will come out eventually. Y'all got something going on in that stadium because y'all just win games you shouldn't, and some weird stuff be happening. Some weird juju there.
Yeah, it's like in The Blind Side when they were trying to scare Michael away from going to Tennessee by telling him that the university kept the forensics evidence under the field.
Oh boy,
It's probably just
it's something.
there's probably an Indian burial ground under the stadium that we don't know about.
Maybe, who knows?
Who
Somebody's gonna
knows,
figure it
man?
out one day.
Yeah, it'll blow the news wide open. Anyways, I guess we should probably get to Jack State. Man, we whooped up on Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I got a name for you, Logan Smothers.
He's a dog, man. He's a dog.
That man. I mean, let's be honest. Passing game, another week still wasn't exactly there. Only completed 9 passes for 93 yards. Not gonna get it. That's not gonna get it done against some of the other teams. But I mean, this dude. Let me pull it up just to make sure I have the numbers right. I know he was over 100 yards rushing, and he
He
averaged
was.
like 6.5 yards a carry, which is insane for your quarterback to be doing that. Let's see. Yeah, he had 18 carries, 118 yards, 6.6 yards per carry with 1 touchdown.
And that tutty was filthy because they ran a little power toss, and he kept it, and no one touched him. And he went like 40 yards. That he's a dog, man. He is a dog. He just kind of he's got that mentality now that I feel like the first play was a zone read that he kept for like 15 yards. And after that, I knew it was going to be a long day for Eastern Michigan. But man, I think the QB battle is closed after last week.
There's a level of confidence that he carries, and you could immediately see it bleed over into the other guys. Um, the offense just played like it felt like they were playing like they knew they could. Um, which, of course, like I said, passing game is still not 100% there. Always still a lot of stuff to improve on, especially this early in the season. But just to see that chemistry and that confidence kind of locking in, it was nice to see because you just don't get that playing the two quarterback battle the whole season. Um, I even saw an interview or I saw an article where I think it was Michael Petway said they're both great quarterbacks. They're both starting caliber quarterbacks, but they play differently. And you just, as a receiver, as a tight end, even as an offensive line, not having that consistency week in and week out, it's gonna kill you. So like being able to, go in, to this week, especially on a short week, knowing, hey, Smothers is the quarterback. I'm If that's the case, I'm sure that's a huge help compared to the first couple of weeks of the season where it was up in the air up until 2 days before the game.
Yeah. You mentioned that, offensive line, I think especially in the way that Rich Rod calls his offense, where you have a lot of zone read, and the QB could end up running the ball, off on the perimeter. Your tackles and your tight ends, especially, really want to know, hey, do we have a quarterback that's going to keep? Do we have a quarterback who's going to give? And the thing with Zion is like he'd keep a few times a game, but you weren't sure when he'd do it. And I think a lot of it, it goes back to his injury history. I'm sure, running the ball is probably not his favorite thing to do. I mean, he had a pretty nasty knee injury just a couple of years ago in a playoff game.
Yeah,
Um, and so, whereas Logan doesn't have an injury history. He just was swamped by other guys who were really talented in Nebraska, and he had, a brain dead chipmunk at quarterback in Scott Frost. Um, his coach was not good. Um, so I think knowing that especially you look at a guy like Sean Brown who's so good not just as a receiver but as a blocker, knowing that all right we've got a QB that when they crash down I know I need to be outside um, to give him a running lane versus oh right should I actually stay inside um, and give Anwar who didn't play but like Anwar or any of the running backs on roster. And we'll get to that, but like give them more room. Like it helps. It definitely helps. And the receivers, I'm sure, appreciate a guy who's willing to let it rip. I mean, his first 3 or 4 throws were absolutely perfect. Um,
yeah,
threw, threw a fade route down the sideline, threw the little quick slant for the touchdown. Like he was on the money. The struggles late really were there were there were some timing issues, and I think it was more that we were starting to struggle running the ball, and I think it was more just a Eastern Michigan really sold out on the run because we're at our fastest when we're running the ball,
yeah.
and the tempo was killing them. And so when we're behind the chains, we're not as good passing. I mean, that's just true of most teams. Um, but you still saw flashes of hey, this offense one game this year is going to explode for 50 or 60 points. You can just see it coming where there's going to be a team that can't stop them.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 100%. And I mean, speaking of the run game, we touched on Logan, some others. Malik Jackson, insane game. I said we had two over 100 yards. He had 21 carries, 127 yards, and that came out to 6 yards a carry. I mean, to do that along with Logan Smothers doing what he did, and we didn't have Ron Wiggins. I don't know exactly what happened. I forgot to look up, but I think I heard something on the broadcast about him being down for the season. if that's the case, that's a huge hit. But I know Anwar was warming up before the game, so hopefully he's close. Um, but yeah, Malik Jackson doing that, Logan Smothers doing that, and hey, when your punter can get on in the box score with a good little run for a first down, you know you're cooking. You know you're cooking.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I was sitting in the student section for the game. And for those of you who haven't been to Burgess Snow Field, student section is in the um, east end zone. I think is the directions that we have our field oriented. Um, and so, I mean, Jack was probably no more than 50 yards from the student section because he was punting on our side of the field, and it was not intentional, but it was saucy. Because he kind of pulled it around his back when he saw that they had a free rush, and after the one guy missed, there was no one in his way. I mean, it was clean.
Yeah,
And I guess that's a good segue. We had a couple guys get conference honors this week. Jack was Conference USA Specialist of the Week, and I'm sure having a fake punt go for a first down helps a lot.
oh yeah. He also had 3 punts down to inside the 20, which is also, I mean, always huge. Flipping the field, setting up
Yeah,
your defense.
yeah. Shout out to Jack. I think anyone who's around the university kind of knows what has gone on with him the last couple of years, and whichever side of that argument you come down on, it's good to see that he's still able to play the game that he loves and have success doing it. Shout out to Chris Hardy, man. He had a game.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think he ended
I'm,
up with what 1.5 sacks.
I'm pulling it up right now. Where are you, Chris? There you are. Yeah, 1.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss, um, and a pass deflection. Um, so I mean, he had a really good game.
I mean,
Um,
he was just a springboard for the entire defense. I mean, the defense on Saturday looked elite. They were eating. They had what 6 sacks, 3 interceptions. Some guys had one of both. Or at least I think. Yeah, Larry Worth had half a sack and an interception. I mean, defense was eating. They could not be stopped.
no,
And people will say it was only Eastern Michigan, but this was a team. I think they won what 7 or 8 games last year.
yeah,
I,
I think they won 8 games. Let me look at it. Actually, I was looking at it before the season. They were 9-4, and won the Idaho Potato Bowl against San Jose State.
yeah, so like they're not the greatest team ever, but they're also at least based on last season, not a team that anybody can walk over. Um, so I think that was a huge win, especially to put up a donut on them. Um, I think that was a pretty big win, for our FBS tenure. Puts us at 3-1. And I think we are currently sitting second in the conference. We're not really into conference play, so the standings will definitely shake out differently a little bit. But we're sitting second in the conference, 3-1. A lot of people, especially people super familiar with Group of Five, a lot of people were only giving us 3 to 4 wins on the season before the season started. Um, and now we're sitting at 3, and I'm seeing a lot of people now moving our floor to 7-5,
Yeah,
which is huge. To get a win like this over Eastern Michigan, hopefully, get a win this week over our transition mate in Sam Houston, and put ourselves in line for an upset of one of the 2 big games that we have right after that. But I mean, yeah, this was a game where, for all intents and purposes, we shouldn't be sitting at 3-1 afterwards. According to what everybody said going into the season.
Yeah, you mentioned that 7-5 number. ESPN FPI now actually has us at 7-5, so that's kind of what they're predicting the rest of the year. So I mean, they're winnable games left. We still got Louisiana Tech. Um, Obviously, we mentioned Sam Houston. I'm not. I don't want to dog on teams because I mean this is FBS football. You could lose any game any week if you don't show up. But like there are winnable games still on the schedule. One, two, three, five of which we have not played yet.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I know going into this season, even we were, on the fence about a possible Liberty or Western Kentucky win. But, I've talked to a couple of Liberty fans on Twitter, and they're a little scared. They're a little worried, based on how our defense is playing, and especially with it being a home game for us. They're a little worried that we could pull off the upset there. So, yeah, this season definitely is taking a turn that a lot of people didn't see coming. Um, I know we both had confidence that we could put ourselves in the running, for an emergency bowl game spot. Some people laughed at us when we said that, but as it sits right now, we very well could be sitting here waiting for a phone call if CUSA doesn't fill all of their contractual obligations for bowl games. Um, it's a very real possibility, and I think it'll happen. Obviously, whether or not we actually get the call, like I said, depends on how everything shakes out. But we're very much on pace, for a 7-5, maybe even an 8-4 season if everything shakes out the way we want it to.
I'll tell you what, if we get that call, I'm gonna be there.
Oh yeah, if we okay, unless because CUSA has a couple of really weird ones. Unless it's like the Bahamas Bowl, yeah, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
there.
I'm going to Jamaica in April. I'm not spending money to go to the Bahamas. Um,
Yeah, but yeah,
but
no. If it's feasible, I'm there for sure, 100%.
if if it is on this side of the Rocky Mountains, I'll be there. I think I can make it out to Texas for a bowl game. I think.
Yeah, it's
Um,
times like these where I wish CUSA was partnered with the Birmingham Bowl because that's right down the street from both of us.
yeah, man, I could drive there in a day. Um,
It would take me all of 10 minutes to get to the stadium.
yeah, I think it takes me 30 to get to parking. So man, it would be ideal if I hate that it's SEC American, but still,
Yeah,
I need
but
to look up what bowls CUSA has because we got to start getting prepared for this. But all
I
right,
can pull it up while you transition real quick because I had it pulled up the other day.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start in on the other sports real quick, and I guess we'll finish up with the with this week's game. So volleyball, first of all, and maybe this is a preview for what's going to happen Thursday. Volleyball smacks down Sam Houston. Um,
Oh
two
yeah,
straight two straight sweeps. Um, um, Ellie Garrett, CUSA setter of the week, and then I'm gonna butcher this, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. Hannah Iena, that's my
I,
best guess.
I think it's Hannah Iena or something like that.
Hannah
I
Iena,
think.
maybe.
I think. I hope that's
I'll tell you
correct.
what, we'll reach out to her in the week during this week, and we'll figure out how to pronounce it because we'll probably hear her name a few more times this year. See, she's a Conference USA Freshman of the Week, so great week for volleyball. We've been looking forward to a good week from volleyball to talk about. We I think we made it pretty clear we support all sports here at JSU and volleyball. I don't know how many matches you've been to. I know with hardcore we played at a handful over my 5 years.
I've been to like two or three.
They're pretty fun. They're really fast paced. So I mean, I think the matches usually last no more than about an hour, hour and a half. Um, they're pretty fun. And then moving on to golf, where were they playing? I actually had it pulled up. Let's see here.
I think they were at UAB this week, so they were in my backyard this week.
Showing up, they were like 20 minutes from your. Not even 20 minutes, maybe more like 5 or 10 minutes, depending on where they were playing. Okay, yes, they were UAB's GMAC Invitational. Um, it doesn't show the scores, but well, no, here we go. Final results. Maybe this will tell us what course they were playing at. No, it doesn't. That's no fun. Um, but yeah, so finished fifth. At a tournament with looks like some decent teams. UAB, losing to Lafayette. Uh, hey, we beat UNA and Troy,
Hey, always a
and we
great
beat
day when we beat
we
UNA
beat
and Troy.
Sanford. So we beat
Oh,
three. We beat really our three main Alabama rivals. So
always a great day when we can beat them.
yeah, no kidding. Oh man, Sanford was plus 14. Man, I feel bad for Tarleton State and USC Upstate.
Were they
They
just very out
combined.
of place?
They combined to go plus 67.
Oh God, that does not sound good at all.
No, that's rough. Yeah, so you finish fifth, -5. UAB shoots -22 over 2 days. You really can't.
Can't do much there.
No, you can't. Yeah, there's some good teams. So hey, good week for golf. Eric Jansen, fourth overall in the individual competition. Goes 61-77, 61 to open the tournament. That's pretty. That's a round. That actually, that wouldn't surprise me if that's course record. Um, in fact, I bet it would say so on the article. Um,
I'm
oh
trying
wait, no, not 61, 67. I think I typed that in wrong. I got myself really excited.
to. Yeah,
I was
61
about
would
to,
have
I
been
was
insane.
about to say 61. Good lord. No, okay, so they were playing at Limestone Springs up in Aniana.
Gotcha.
So they weren't too far away from you. Uh, but hey, shout out to the men's golf. We love to hear uh, about the golf teams playing well. We are, after all, a Masters winning program. So
Got to keep the
um,
legacy going.
yeah, when you've got a green jacket in your backyard, you got to represent. I don't think Danny Willett. Um, he didn't waste blood, sweat, and tears for us to not perform.
I feel
Uh,
like we will hold on to that for as long as we possibly can.
there are a few things in life that JSU will have over a lot of schools just because of how small we are, but we can say that we have a green jacket.
And that's
So
something you can really never take away. Like,
no,
there's almost no instance where they will go and take that green jacket away.
well, and you even look at who Danny beat that year, beating up on Jordan Spieth. Poor Jordan couldn't help but find the water over and over again, and Danny's sitting there like, man, this is easy. All you have to do is find the green. But well, we've gotten that out of the way. I think it's time to hit the segment that we've been most looking forward to, and that is making fun of whatever this god awful nickname has been given to this game that we're playing this weekend against Sam Houston State.
I hate that the logic of the naming of this rivalry is some dude on Twitter said, I think we should name the game this. And whoever it was just kind of picked it up and said, okay, we're going with it. I don't think it's officially recognized between the two schools. I don't think the coaches know anything about it. I don't think there's any sort of officialness to it. I think it's purely Twitter.
And not even just Twitter. I've talked to some Sam Houston fans, kind of in the last week as we've led up into quote unquote a rivalry week. Um, Apparently, it's just one account too. Is the best. That's like the craziest thing. Is most even like most Sam Houston fans don't call it the Gravy Bowl.
And most of them also don't see it as a rivalry. Um, I was talking to one of them, and one of the biggest things you always, take into account when you consider who's a rival is, fan attendance at road games. I don't know about you. I don't see Jacksonville State fans traveling, in droves to Sam Houston. I don't see their fans doing the same to Jacksonville. And it's just
No,
something we've only ever played them like two or three times. Never really had any close or chippy games. There's just nothing there that naturally forms a rivalry. So why are we trying to make it a thing?
it's crazy. I feel zero like hate towards Sam Houston. I actually, before they came to FBS, and now all of a sudden their offense, looks um, looks like 2016 Jacksonville State. No, sorry, 2017 Jacksonville State with Brian Horn. Um, I actually really enjoyed watching Sam Houston State. Um, I mean, I have no hate towards them. I wouldn't call this a rivalry. I wouldn't call it anything close to a rivalry.
Nope.
We have two rivals. We have UNA and we have Kennesaw State. Those are our two rivals, and then Troy in other sports because we don't play them in football. But Sam Houston's not it's not a rivalry by any means, and it definitely is not. Even if it was a rivalry, it's not deserving of a nickname like Gravy Bowl.
Gravy bowl. And the thing is, who calls it a gravy bowl? It's a
It's a
gravy
gravy
boat.
boat. Yeah, it's just a gravy boat. We've we have all watched the first episode of Friends when Rachel says she was looking at a gravy boat and that's why she left Barry. We've all seen it. It's not a gravy bowl. It's a gravy boat. Let's get that out of the way. Um,
Yeah, whoever it was that came up with that, I don't get it. I think it's stupid. This is just a game between two teams that are kind of indifferent towards each other.
yeah, we exist in the same conference. That's the most we have in common. And look, a team is going to win a game. A team is going to lose a game. But afterwards, there's not going to be a bunch of hate spewed. Now, 2024, when Kennesaw State joins this conference, that's different
Yeah, no.
because the
Whenever Kennesaw State gets here,
it's on.
that that's a game. Those are games where I promise you, if you show up to a game, whether it be in Kennesaw or whether it's in Jacksonville, there will be it'll probably be close to 50-50 as far as fan attendance goes because
Yeah,
they're going to travel. There will be a bunch of crap talked. There will there will be borderline fighting going on. At least after
yeah,
the game. Before the game, there will be a lot of drinks and food shared both ways. After the
yeah,
game, though, yeah, no, it ain't pretty.
yeah. That's when the alcohol starts to set in, and one team's fans is walking away losers. And look, I ain't gonna say it because I was in Southerners, so obviously we didn't do anything. But I can tell you that a lot of us walk away with our tails tucked after that 2021 loss in Ross's last year, and it was really hard to not, you know, commit crimes after that game. Um, I mean, it was really hard. Um, and and that game. Here's the thing. That's not just a rivalry. It's got a good nickname. It's the War on I-20. That's a great nickname. That is a great nickname for a rivalry. The Gravy Bowl, on the other hand, sounds like we're all really obese people who eat KFC mashed potatoes 3 times a day.
Yeah,
And
I
let's be
just
honest, KFC mashed
I
potatoes aren't that good.
I just don't get it. Maybe it's because Sam Houston doesn't have a built-in rivalry, coming in. The person I was talking to said, if anything, they should look at La Tech or UTEP. But especially when we already have one built in, especially with somebody who's coming into the conference at that, next year, on our end, I know our fans don't really recognize it. We make fun of it. It's just a game. I think for Rich
Yeah,
Rod and the team going into it, it's just a game. we got to check it off, move on to the next afterwards. I don't think there's any extra incentive. And, for all those people out there who were hoping it was an actual thing, sorry, you will not see a coach doused in gravy afterwards. Um,
Yeah, this will not be the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I can confirm there will not be any disgusting condiments dumped on the winning coach.
See, I think gravy would be worse than mayo too, because at least like mayo is kind of thick, and it would just just
Kind of
rub
rinse
it
it
off.
off. Gravy
The
soaks into your
gravy,
stuff.
yeah,
Uh,
anything
mm,
anybody's wearing, if you get it soaked in gravy, that's it. Throw it away.
yeah, like if you're wearing khakis and someone dumps gravy on you, it's curtains.
Yeah, that's it.
That's lights out. Oh man.
Oh, but before we get into the game, I found so CUSA has the Bahamas Bowl, obviously in Nassau, Bahamas. They have the Arnell Carriers New Orleans Bowl. That would be a nice one.
Hey,
Um,
hey.
and then they have a couple that rotate as far as guaranteed selections. The one this year is the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. Um, and then there are a couple where they that just rotate among all of the G5s. I'm not sure which ones we have this year, but one of them is as close as Mobile. And then one of them is
Oh yeah. Camellia Bowl,
one
isn't
of
it?
yeah, or no, Mobile is the 68 Ventures Bowl. The
Oh,
Camellia
that's
Bowl's
right. They got a new that's right. That's right. Camellia
yeah,
Bowl's in
Montgomery, which is
Montague.
also
Yeah,
it's also on the list. So, and JSU is very familiar with that stadium. Um,
yeah. We know the Crampton Bowl.
and it looks like the Birmingham Bowl is actually in a rotation this year. Um, so that is a outside possibility. We have 3 in-state possibilities, and then there's a couple in Florida, and then you're looking at South Carolina. So very good chance, if we get the call, hypothetical, if we get the call, if we keep handling business the way we're supposed to, um, good possibility we could end up playing fairly close. Our fans could enjoy that experience. Because I know the first bowl game we do get called up to, our fans are going to go crazy.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, if it's any of the Alabama games or even the New Orleans Bowl, I'm gonna be there.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
so the New Orleans Bowl is not played at some high school or college. It's played at the Superdome.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So watching JSU play in the Superdome,
That would be nuts.
that'd be
that would
insane.
that would
First
be
bowl game, and you get to
absolutely
play at
crazy.
the site of, the infamous lights out Super Bowl. Ravens Niners. Get to play at the place where Joe Burrow won the national championship.
It would be
The
it would
house
be a crazy one for sure.
was a. I know a certain Saints fan who's a friend of ours, Mr. Gabriel Trotter. I'm sure he'd be there.
Oh yeah, I mean, he'd be there. They would have the Southerners there some way somehow.
Oh yeah, man. That'd be as long as it's not Hawaii or the Bahamas. I'm gonna try to be there.
Yeah, I as much as I would love to be in the Bahamas or go back to Hawaii because Hawaii is beautiful, I just could not pull that on such short notice. I ain't got it like that.
Yeah, I don't have that much leave, and my honeymoon's already expensive. So
Unless we have some amazing listeners out there that would love to, sponsor a trip. But
hey, look, hey, if you are a local business and you want to sponsor the 700 Pelham Road podcast, send us on the road for a game and then make it be a bowl game. We'll,
yeah,
we'll push.
you would get lifetime advertisement on this podcast for sure. Oh man, but yeah,
Oh
I
man,
mean, it top to bottom this season so far is looking way better than most people could have ever thought. it's looking like we're on track to, have a pretty solid stepping stone going forward. Um, Second year of our transition, first year full FBS schedule. Most people weren't expecting us to come out being 3-1 and be on track for 7-5. Um, really breaking a lot of expectations and just setting ourselves up to be very successful going forward. Because as much as it helps right now, talking about a hypothetical bowl game and just a record in numbers, it helps with recruitment too. Rich Rod and all the other coaches can go out on the recruiting trail and look at these kids in the face and say, "Hey, you're a 3-star, you're a 4-star. You may have offers, or you may be getting looks from all these Power Five schools, but you may sit for 2 or 3 years. You can come here. Look what we're building. You can go out, right away, make an impact. Show everybody what you're made of, who you got." One of the biggest things at JSU is always, proving all the doubters wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Come on down to Jacksonville, show everybody that not only is this school and this team better than everybody expects and thinks, that you're way better than what some of these other coaches and recruits or recruiters and scouts think. I think it is a great situation all around for somebody to come in and just blow the competition away.
I fully agree, man. I fully agree, and it's been that way even when we were FCS, when we were winning so many games in the OVC, we had some national attention. But now, FBS, um, we've already beaten two FBS teams who one of which again won a bowl game and won 9 games last year. Um, I'm not saying we're going to beat Liberty or Western Kentucky, but let's say we win Thursday and we split those 2 games. We're now 5-2 with 5 games left on the schedule, and every team left um, on the schedule after Western Kentucky is behind us in the conference standings,
Yeah. I mean,
except for South Carolina. But that's a different monster.
yeah, totally different monster. But I mean, yeah, like you said, we go in here, handle business, get this win, split those two. Um, Looking at the rest of it, Middle Tennessee could be a somewhat of a difficult game. And like you said, don't ever want to crap on other teams because it's FBS. But as it sits right now, I don't see us necessarily struggling with FIU or New Mexico State or La Tech. Um, Obviously, as the season goes on, things could change. You never know; it's a long season, but it's just one of those where I think we have finally found the recipe and we're playing up to our potential. Um, and we have the chance to play above, what many people have set our potential at. And it's a great spot to be in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you had told me that after the first 4 games of the year that 9-3 would potentially be on the table, I would have laughed at you because I'd been like, no, because we'll lose to Coastal Carolina, we'll lose to Eastern Michigan, we might lose to UTEP, and instead we come out and our defense has been even against Coastal. Our defense was elite for 3 quarters, but we just had no offense and they were exhausted. Um,
Yeah,
and again, I still I refuse to believe we lose that game if Logan Smothers starts. I
yeah. I
refuse to
honestly
believe.
think, I honestly think we could be sitting here looking at 4-0 right now.
Yeah. Um, but it is what it is. You take those lumps, you learn your lessons. Um, and we're fortunate to have a coach who's won at the FBS level. Um, so he knows what it takes. And you know what? Most of his staff members are guys who he's coached with the whole time. Like it's not like he went out and got got this first big job, so now he goes and hires a brand new staff. Like he brought his guys with him. So the staff is uniquely familiar with each other. So there's a lot of chemistry with the coaching staff, which is good because I think we sat pretty close to the sideline for the first game, and Rich Rod, he's an intense coach. You got to know what you're getting into when you work for him because he's intense, but he wants to win. So
Oh
it says something that all of these guys who he's coached with his whole career continue to stay with him, and it's because they believe in his process. They believe in the goals that he sets forth. Um, they believe in him as a coach. I mean, obviously, we believe in him as a coach. We hope Rich Rod never leaves. He's already a legend at JSU because, I mean, we're sitting here after 14 career games and he's lost 3 of them.
yeah.
So,
I mean, he's came into a situation basically playing with house money after the last couple of years of our last head coach, and he defied expectations from game one. To come in and just absolutely smack Stephen F. Austin, in the mouth your first game, to pretty much carry that success through that first season, win the conference, and now to lead the transition into FBS, start off 3-1, looking at if we handle business, looking at a potential bowl game in year one. I just at that point there's not much you can say except for constructive criticism, which it's always a great position to be where you can only provide constructive criticism and not just downright you're a horrible coach.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I remember, kind of something, that I've heard, Nick Saban say in several press conferences, when Alabama, if they lose a game and they didn't play well, like obviously he expects perfection out of his players, but what does he always lean back on? He leans back on, I'm the coach. It's my responsibility to put them in position in the first place. And that's the same thing Rich Rod does. He 100% takes responsibility, um, for the players if they don't play well, and says, "Hey, it's on me as the coach to teach them better." And he's like, they can only, one person can only do so much, and it's up to coaches to help build the players further. So, having a coach like that who truly understands the landscape of college sports, like, I mean, we're blessed. We are truly blessed, and we still got a long season ahead of us. I mean, what we saw against Eastern Michigan was just the start. We haven't even really talked about this Thursday, and I'm sure we're going to real quickly before we end the episode. But I mentioned it. There's a route for us to win, I think, every game on the schedule. And I even look at South Carolina. I think, if we get bad Spencer Rattler for one day, there's no guarantee we don't go into Williams Bryson win. So,
Hey, we'll be there for that game.
yeah, Jalen and I are leading a contingency of JSU alumni to head over to not Columbus, Columbia. No, yeah, Columbia, South Carolina, um, to be at that game and support the Gamecocks. Even if we are the only 10 that go, we'll be there. Front row of the JSU section, just causing all kinds of ruckus.
Oh yeah, you know it. We are not win or lose from kickoff until the clock hits triple zeros. We will be loud and raucous and rowdy, even if we're down by 28 points. I'm
Yeah,
still going to be annoying.
we've been trained in the art of belligerency by the JSU pep band. That's basically a 4-hour scholarship to show up and yell at at the other team. So we know what it's about, and I assure you, we'll be bringing that energy to Columbia, and we hope to meet some of y'all South Carolina fans. For any of you who may stumble upon the podcast, hopefully we'll get out and about and meet some of y'all and show y'all what the other Gamecocks are about. But
Oh yeah.
all right, I say we kind of dive into Sam Houston real quick. There's not much to talk about besides their offense is. Look, Sam Houston fans, I have a lot of respect for you guys. Y'all have put up some insane offensive numbers the last 10, 15 years. Um, y'all's offense is awful.
Yeah, this year
I just,
especially.
it is what it is. And it's not, I mean, it's not, you know, Casey Keeler's fault. Like, not every team responds to an FCS transition the same way. You know, part of the reason that we're performing well is because of who our coach is. It's not necessarily that we're just across the board more talented than every team we play, but we've got a coach who is probably more experienced at the FBS level than every other coach we're facing. Um, but I'll just be honest. I mean, Sam Houston's offense is averaging 42 rushing yards a game. They're averaging less than 150 yards total per game. They have yet to score. I think. Let me see if they. I don't think they've scored double digits once all season.
No,
Um,
because they have 10 total points on the season.
yeah, so there you go. So they're averaging three three and a third points a game, which is last in FPS. Now their defense is not bad. They're only giving up 22 points a game. They held BYU and Air Force to 27 combined points. But man, Houston did y'all dirty.
Yeah,
Put up a 38 spot. Um, y'all gave up 538 yards of offense.
yeah.
Um,
Which, saying all of this, we definitely have to, be a little careful considering
yeah,
their first three games were BYU, Air Force, and Houston.
yeah,
Compared to who our first four games were. Still, definitely a little worrisome looking at the offense where it took you 3 games to put up a single touchdown, and you only have 10 total points to show for it. Um, I think that kind of puts us in a trap game type situation where they're pissed off.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they want something to start working and start clicking. I don't want our defense to fall into the JSU syndrome of playing down to the level of competition. Um, we definitely have to be careful there, and just stay on track. Keep that hard edge, as the football team says. Um, and just give it to him just like we did to Eastern Michigan last week. If we can do that against Eastern Michigan, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to hold Sam Houston to 0 the same exact way.
Yeah, I think this game comes down to, does our offense travel? Right now that we kind of have the QB situation figured out, right? I mean, we want to see Logan, perform a little bit better in the passing game, but does the running game travel enough to give him that time? Because if we show up and we're running the football really, effectively, it'll give Logan the freedom in the passing game to not feel like he's got to go be, Joe Burrow, right? He doesn't have to be Joe
Yeah.
Burrow. He needs to be, I mean, realistically, he needs to be Nick Marshall. That's really all he needs to be in this offense. Um, so if we're running the ball, especially maybe if Anwar is back and at least can get 5-10 touches, um, we could. Again, I like our chances, but again, this is a Thursday night game. We're out in Texas, so it's going to be kind of a weird little situation.
Yeah, especially with the short week. Saturday flipping to Thursday,
Yeah,
especially when you have to account for a travel day in there too. I'm not sure if they're flying out Wednesday night or if they're flying out Thursday morning, but very short week. You got to stay focused. It's going to change up the routine. So, this is going to be a really important game because, some guys are really, really big on routine and doing the same thing, week to week. It's going to cut some of that just because you're losing 2 days. Um, so I'm just hoping that the short week and the travel don't affect us too terribly much.
yeah. I mean, we've seen teams go cross country, and obviously this is a cross country. We're going 3 states over, which in the grand scheme of things is not that far. Um, but it'll be intriguing to see. I would imagine they'll fly out Wednesday, let the guys get a good night's sleep,
Yeah.
Wake up at a reasonable time that day and just kind of go through their game day routine. Because I mean, kickoff wise, it's a regular night game. Um,
Yeah.
it's just more a matter of you don't want to take these guys out of their element the day of. You want them to wake up and be on site um, and be ready to go. Um, yeah, I think it comes down to the offense. If our offense travels, I think we have a really good chance to win, put up some points. But again, Sam Houston's defense is not bad. I mean,
No.
Houston. Here's the thing: Houston's head coach was one of Mike Leach's um, top assistants, and Dana Holgerson. Like they know how to put points up. But you kept a really good Air Force team, and by all accounts, a solid BYU team to 27 combined points. Neither got to 400 total yards. And Air Force especially. Now they're triple option teams; it's a little bit different. But they only ran for 244. They threw for 14. So I mean, this is a good defense for the level that we play at. Um, I mean, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be great coming home from work on a weekday, and you've got Gamecock
Oh
football.
yeah.
That's going to be a really fun thing about the TV deal is coming home on Tuesday, Wednesday nights, having nothing to do, and just sitting there like I've got Gamecock football tonight.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of get back out on the road. Um, see how the guys respond to a weird schedule. If they get through this week, they've got 10 days. No, they've got more than that. They'll have I think 11 or 12 days before the Liberty game. No, because we
No,
have
they got
MTS. We got
yeah.
MTSU on the road. I don't know why I thought next week was a bye week. So it's a short turnaround followed by another short turnaround. Because
That one's not too bad though. That one's a Thursday to Wednesday. So
yeah, Thursday to Wednesday, and that one you're just going up to Tennessee, up to Murfreesboro, which isn't super far from Jacksonville. I think it's just a few hours. Um, I almost was going to be at that game, but instead I'm either going to be at Liberty or at Western Kentucky. Um,
yeah.
I potentially might be at both actually.
Depending on how everything shakes out, I might make the drive up to Murfreesboro to see that game. It is far enough that it would make just going up there for a game a little bit of a hassle, though. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I definitely want to be in town for that Liberty game. It'll be weird to be in Jacksonville in Burgess Snow on a Tuesday night, but I can't wait.
yeah. That's one of those games where I think it's a 6:30 kickoff. I may try to get out of work a little bit early so that I can maybe get there on time. Um, I know I've got a meeting in Scott. Here's the thing, it's crazy. I've got a meeting in Scottsboro up in North Alabama the next day, and it would actually, um, I shoot, I'm going to try and be at that Liberty game because I know a few people that we know are going to be there,
Yeah.
and it would be fun to get us all together. But yeah, I mean that's really it. It's just, I mean, you can tell me if you disagree, but I think it comes down to if the offense travels. I think our defense has proven, in the Coastal game, the defense will travel.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the defense will
they
most
prep.
definitely travel.
It
And
you know
looking at Sam Houston's offense, like you said, not really super great. Their rushing offense is basically non-existent. I think they have less than 50 rushing yards on the season, or somewhere around it. They're averaging like 1.5 yards per carry.
yeah,
As long as our secondary can show up and hold their own, at that point, everything rests in the hands of the offense. And I think this will be their first game to really, if Logan gets the start again, they go into it knowing he's the starter. I think this is their first game to really lock in and show us what they got. Um, Obviously, we've seen the run game. I want to see what we can do passing. If that is going to be a significant element to our offense, which I think we at least need to be a little bit more prevalent than it is. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for this game. Really excited to see our potential. because this really lays the groundwork for us going into the rest of conference play. Um, but yeah, all around, just super excited. I think our fans will be a little bit thrown off about the conference midweek games at first. Um, but I think they'll warm up to it. It's a pretty unique situation. It allows us to get primetime games. Like you said, come home, turn on ESPN, CBS, whatever channel we're on, watch some Gamecock football on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. Um, I think our fans will warm up to it. I'm hoping people will actually show up and be in the stands. I hope students show up because, unlike Saturday games, they're not going to be going home. You'll be
Yeah.
right there on campus, so might as well go to the stadium for a couple of hours, have some fun, let loose, watch some football. So I hope our students show up. I hope they stay because they won't have the excuse of Auburn or UGA or Alabama or whoever else playing later on in the day, because it just won't be the case. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I hope all around everybody shows up, enjoys the nights, has a great time, because I think it's something that could be really good for Jacksonville.
I fully agree, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully we come away with a dub.
I'm hoping so. Um, Only other thing I really have is, I know we touched on some of the other sports earlier. One of the things I left off, I forgot to mention, JSU bowling, our bowling team, first year. They posted the other day they're doing a meet and greet with the ladies of the bowling team over at Big Time Entertainment in Oxford. That'll be on October 6th at 1 p.m. I think everybody gets a free poster, and I'm sure they'll probably do some autographs if you want to do that. So yeah, always go show up, support all of our athletics if you can. Um, they all deserve it, not just football, not just basketball, baseball. I think all of our athletics, need to know that our fan base is behind them 110%. So yeah, if you have the free time and the availability, go show up, get to know, our head coach, some of the amazing women that will be on that team, because this is something new and they need our support from the jump.
Yep, absolutely, man. Man, I'm yawning a lot. It's late, but we're in it for I'm in it for a good time, not a long time. So you do what you got to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I fully agree. I mean, we got to show the you got to show the smaller sports support. Um, Obviously, we all talk about football being the sport that brings in the money, but the other the other sports are the ones that really support the universities publicity when football's not going on. So make sure you show them love, whether that's soccer, whether it's volleyball, whether it's softball, women's basketball, um, women's tennis, women's golf. Like show the women some love because they work hard, and most of the squads are actually pretty good squads, and they just haven't been getting the recognition they need, especially women's basketball. And I actually do have one note on that. Um, with them starting practice this week, um, it's another year where I argue we probably have two of the most passionate coaches on the hardwood in the conference. Um,
100%.
we
Honestly,
got
in all of NCAA.
we got Ray Harper who's liable to murder referees at any time. Um, and then we got Rick Petrie who's liable to murder his own players at any time.
Man, if for anybody who has never been to a Jacksonville State basketball home game, whether it be men or women's, just pay attention to both of our head coaches. They are two of, like Caleb said, two of the most passionate coaches on that court. I have seen Harper, almost throw hands with another coach. Uh, so yeah, you're definitely not gonna be disappointed there. They care so much. Um, but they also are very quick to let the fans and the student section and hardcore know they appreciate them for being there. That's why I have so much respect for both of them. They will go out of their way to make sure everybody in attendance gets the recognition they deserve to. Um, just two great guys all around. I hope they stay at JSU for many, many years. I hope they stay until they choose to retire, because we are definitely blessed when it comes to the coaches that grace the court at Pete Matthews Coliseum.
Yeah, man. Pete's an underrated home environment. We've had many teams come in there and um, good teams like Murray State and Belmont who have come in there and we've beaten them by 20 or 30 just because we packed it out. And that place, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't go in there and think it's this loud place, but then you realize that it's concrete all around, and so the noise just bounces off the walls.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's a no, it's fun. I'm excited for basketball season. I'm gonna be at I don't know how many basketball games I'm actually able to make it to, but I'm gonna find some weekends, 1 or 2 weekends this spring and make it to some basketball games.
Same. I'm gonna try and get there.
It works out well actually. Starting the week of Thanksgiving, I'll actually be working from home full time while our building renovates, and I'll have Fridays off now instead of Mondays, so I'll be in town like the whole weekend, like leading up to all these games in the spring. So
That'll be
it's gonna be
huge.
it's gonna be lit.
Oh yeah, I definitely plan to be there. A couple of them, and if I can catch some back to backs with some baseball games, I definitely will do that too.
Yeah, yeah. If you see me and Jalen being belligerent and leading the cock flock at basketball games, just know that we warned you.
Oh yeah, we've been doing that for quite a long time, and we're going to enjoy it while we still can.
Yep. Yeah. Can't let it go until our health or our jobs tells us otherwise.
You
So,
know it.
so all right, man. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. I don't think I have anything else. What
Me
about
either.
you?
I think we're
Yeah.
good.
Awesome. It was another great episode. Those of you who find the podcast, I just realized I haven't been looking at the camera hardly at all. So y'all are going to see me looking down at like my keyboard, at the mic, at my TV. My ADHD was peaking a little bit today, so it's going to be it is what it is. But thank you guys for everyone who showed us support these first 6 weeks. We really do this for fun. We don't make any money off of this podcast. We
No.
strictly do it for the fun of talking about JSU, talking about the school we went to. So appreciate the love and support. Shout out to Sidelines Sports Network. Our boss over at Sidelines is really the one who kind of steered. When we floated the idea of a podcast, he told us to go for it. Shout out to Troy Taylor with Totem Pole Nation. He's our boss over there, and he's been super instrumental in getting us going in terms of the getting us put on the network. So it's been a quick 2 weeks, but I had to make those shout outs before we left. So with that being said, I think it's time to sign off. It's another great week. We will see y'all next week. Hopefully we're back after JSU dub in Texas. And
Hopefully.
with that, 700 Pelham Road is signing off.